In each episode, we're gonna recap. It's Sailing All Blue with Xander and Matt. Sailing All Blue with Xander and Matt.
Welcome to Sailing All Blue, the podcast where we are setting sail into the world of One Piece. My name is Xander, and here with me is my first mate, Matt. Oh, I'm so
Hello.
excited for this arc. Matt, are you ready to jump on a bird and go to Orange Town?
I was not ready to jump on a bird, but we're headed to Orange Town anyway.
We're heading. You are in the bird's mouth, just being carried away. Okay, so if this is your first time joining us, hi, welcome. Glad you're here. You should probably listen to the first few episodes as we're going through chronologically the release of One Piece. How we do is we do a description of what we'll talk about, which is what we're doing right now. Matt is going to recap what he read, which is the arc of Orange Town, which is chapters 8 through 21.
8 through 21, and I promise to do it very badly.
He's going to do it to the best of his abilities. Then we're going to go.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. Very, very wonderfully. And then we're going to highlight certain scenes, things we liked from the arc. Things we definitely want to be. Things more so I want to make sure Matt catches it and latches onto. And then Matt's going to review, give his reactions and his thoughts, and then I will give my general thoughts, which is One Piece is the best thing ever. So my thoughts are always just, this is great. I love this. Nothing's ever wrong with nothing is ever. No, there's a few things
And we'll
wrong
see
with
where
One
I
Piece.
land.
We'll see where you land through as we go through.
I think, Xander, we forgot kind of one of the more important parts to remind our readers is I've never read One Piece before.
He has never read One Piece. Your experience with One Piece has been me and a few other people yelling at you to read One Piece.
I've had people yell Tony Choppa at like figures and stuff.
Tony Choppa.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I assume that's something in it. I've tried to watch the anime a few times, but I've never made it very far. But I've never tried the manga before, and we're pretty much approaching where I've ever gotten before.
We're getting close.
Xander said apparently there's something called Arlong Park I should be ready for, and I asked if that was the thing with that crocodile guy. And you said no.
No, I laughed. I laughed so loud. Just like,
so
no.
I have no idea what that is when we were planning out how many chapters to do each episode for. So that tells you how much I know.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the max chapters, right? This was a good 13 chapters?
This was 13 chapters, which I think is going to be kind of our give and take max here is when we, after sitting down and reading this and kind of going over how long the last episode was, we kind of came to about 10 chapters plus or minus 2 or 3 if we can hit a good stopping point in an arc.
Yeah. So good solid 10, maybe 11 chapters for future arcs, depending on how long they go for. But let's just jump right into it, Matt. Tell us what happens at the start of chapter 8, labeled Nami.
Yup. Enter Nami. Similar to the Enter Zolo from earlier, which again, I am using the official translation on Viz's website. Please support the official release. And that uses Zolo, so I'm using Zolo.
I hate you so much.
Which at this point, I'm not sure what Zolo's role is on the ship. Is he just first mate? Is that the extent of his duty?
He's the first one in the crew. He's the first mate. Like, that's the role he has to fill. Like, what other roles are there? It's captain, then first mate, and then you go down the line.
Well,
Luffy,
at the very beginning, they actually here are teasing that they're both hungry, and Luffy mentions that they need a cook and a musician, which I'm aware that Sanji and Brook exist, so I've never made it past Sanji's arc in the anime. So I'm aware they exist and that that's what they do. So I guess that's foreshadowing. But also another immediate concern is that they need a navigator to get to the Grand Line. But bouncing back, I guess, to them being hungry, Luffy sees a bird and goes, okay, food. And yo-yos himself off the mast, and Zolo goes, okay, what? Some pirates then try to attack the ship that Zolo then beats up. And we've got Luffy dropping on the island, while Nami is being chased with a map of the Grand Line. Wow, that's similar to what happened earlier. And she is quick with the scams. She immediately is able to set Luffy up as a patsy. And someone tries to touch Luffy's hat, and he does not like that. Then we go to Buggy choking a minion. He's like force choking them, and I know he has the whole remote control body part thing, so I paid attention to the panels, and the whole time it's like hiding his left hand up until the point where he force chokes the guy into a cannon, and then they shoot the guy out of a cannon. That's when his left hand then reappears. So I assume his choking is actually being done by his left hand. Nami mentions she needs a bunch of money to buy a village. I guess it's her home or something. But she won't join Luffy because she hates pirates and betrays Luffy. Meanwhile, Zolo shows up on the island with the pirates he captures earlier, like, take me to your leader. So Luffy's in a cage. We get the description of the buggy balls, which are some big, massive cannonball. They're like a WMD. He's got this whole, like, Joker vibe going on. Buggy's a clown. He is a clown pirate, and he's doing this whole Joker thing with it, which is kind of cool.
It's very wonderful. I love Buggy's whole aesthetic, and I love his whole crew's aesthetic.
Yeah, and he's very much more true to like that old Joker kind of thing, where it's like he's a clown prince of crime, and it's like, yeah, he's a clown, but he's also going to stab you, and it's very much playing up a little bit of not as much the insanity angle, but more just the really trying to show him being bloodthirsty and murderous to make that whole clown juxtaposition really hit. Nami is supposed to kill Luffy, but that would make her as bad as a pirate. So she pulls out a hidden bow staff and stops it. She tries to then stop the cannon from going off. We get the revelation pirates killed someone in Nami's past. And it's Zolo to the rescue, as he then comes out and he stops the cannon from firing, and then he slices Buggy up to pieces. He's like, well, that was easy. Psych, chop, chop fruit. Buggy, it turns out, is he has a devil fruit, and it makes it where he can't be cut up, I guess, and can cut his own body into pieces. So Zolo comes up with the next brightest idea of turning the cannon as it gets relit. So now Nami is their new navigator, and Luffy is going to stay in his cage, and they escape with the cage until they find a dude with a lion looking for them. And it's, where do these people even come from? Just dude with a lion. Those are large plains animals.
Moji the lion tamer is great. Okay, he's a beautiful. Have you seen his great little ears on top of his head?
Are those his actual ears?
And then no, they're little. It's part of. It's just his hairstyle. He has little lion ears for his hair because he has regular ears.
It's just styled.
It's just styled. He's very stylish. The hairs and all the hairstyles in Buggy's like main crew, right? Like the ones we get to see fight have really rad hairstyles.
Yeah, he shows up, and Luffy is trying to get the key from a dog because it's dropped because like it turns out Nami had it and then she dropped it and then this dog got it, and it's pretty much like a giant Pirates of the Caribbean reference. For any of you who are aware of ever saw Pirates of the Caribbean, the original movie, and know about the scene with the dog with the keys, and that's actually even further a callback to Pirates of the Caribbean ride before the movie made them rip it up and put Johnny Depp in it. The original ride was better. Don't at me. Yeah, they're the pirates. It's just, I guess, a thing. Pirates antagonize dogs. Kind of like how in the last reading we had Zolo was kind of addicted to dogs. Luffy's addicted to dogs too. They're really not very kind to animals.
I don't want to believe this, but like I can't disagree because like every time we see a dog, it gets hurt by someone in the crew so far. Like Luffy like chokes out a fucking dog, being like, "Give me this key, motherfucker."
Yeah, and then the mayor of the town shows up in like weird wooden armor, and his whole purpose is to deliver sad dog backstory. Like, why are you giving this dog such a sad backstory? It doesn't need one. And
Dude,
Luffy breaks out of the cage with his own strength, like, oh yeah, I could always do this. So is there really a need for this whole like key plot thing? It just kind of took up a chapter. We then get even more.
Well, he doesn't break out of it. The lion breaks.
Yeah, the
cage.
lion breaks it. Yeah, the lion breaks it. But see, like, was there really a need for this? Like, could we have just skipped straight to the lion breaking? I don't know.
No, we needed the dog's backstory because one, it is longer than Zoro's backstory.
It is many times longer because after Luffy breaks out of the cage, we get chapter 13 with more sad dog backstory.
Yeah, but this dog's such a badass.
And spoiler alert for everyone who hasn't read it, those of you who are somehow even less into One Piece than I am right now, we're gonna get more sad dog backstory. It just keeps happening. It's something about like the dog's owner ran a pet food store and now he's dead. And so the dog is protecting the store even though the town is like abandoned. It's okay. Luffy spins Richie the lion, who I have now called Lionel Richie. So he spins Lionel Richie with the Gum Gum Gavel, which is a new attack we haven't seen before. And then Luffy feeds the dog to prove he's not a bad guy somehow, even though after the dog was attacked by Lionel Richie, he clearly needs medical attention. And after this fight of Luffy using the Gum Gum Gavel on Lionel Richie and Moji, Moji is too beat up, literally too beat up, to report that Luffy is made of rubber, which makes Buggy angry because he's just like getting in this big misunderstanding of what Luffy is or doing. And I think Buggy would be more threatening if he didn't keep saying "ready my buggy balls."
No, that's threatening. If you had a clown yell that at you, "Ready my buggy balls," would
ready
you
my
not
balls,
be
crew member.
Intimidated? Would you not be terrified?
It just makes me really uncomfortable after we already had sad Cody the cabin boy. That there's just some horrid implications of "ready my balls."
God damn it.
We then get the sad villager backstory, leading us to, in a world of pirates, why does anyone live in these seaside towns? We know there's mountains. We saw them in the first chapter. There's mountains, although I guess those are filled with bandits too. Why does anyone live in the One Piece world? Maybe that's a bigger question.
Oh. Oof.
The town is my treasure. Boom, Buggy Ball. Town mostly gone now. That's a bummer. But now Zolo is somehow magically better from being stabbed by Buggy, and Nami is now okay with teaming up with the crew. And the mayor runs off to die. We get introduced to Kabaji the Acrobat, a man on a unicycle. That is his special power, is he has a unicycle. Which, to be fair, unicycles are hard. His special power is unicycle and unicycle adjacent abilities.
unicycle accessories.
It's all his other powers, like his flamethrower breath, his swordsmanship, his ability to spin Beyblades. All of these are just extensions of being able to ride a unicycle. And after our pre-fight entertainment of the mayor getting his face shoved in, Team Luffy squares up against Team Buggy. And this is when the realization that Luffy is made of rubber is important, because he's able to deflect the Buggy balls. Yes, Luffy's rubber covers Buggy's balls. And again, why?
He's made of rubber. Rubber bullets get bounced off rubber, you know.
I know,
Sense.
I just didn't want to talk about how Luffy's rubber covered Buggy's balls, because it sounds like the start of a really bad fan fiction. Or maybe a really great one, I don't know. If there's a really great fan fiction that contains that, please point me to it. Or point Xander to it.
I was going to say, like, you don't have any social media. It'll all come to me. And then I'll have to be like, yeah, here you go, Matt, read this. It'll be extra Patreon content. You can tell me about the fan fiction you read.
That if we ever have a Patreon, I'm sure reading the most horrid slash fiction that anyone can give us is definitely. And you present it. Here's the thing: is that I'm sure there are One Piece novels, because there have to be.
There are only 2 so far.
Interesting.
They were recently made too.
You can give me a kind of 50-50. It's either a novel, it's either an official novel, or it's horrid slash fiction, and you don't know. Is this
fanfic or official? The answer might surprise you.
Buggy's balls are full of what now?
Goddamn, continue. Move on from this, please.
Yeah.
Don't lewd One Piece. One Piece is wholesome and violent.
Speaking of moving on, in this next chapter, there is a very sudden art style change. All of a sudden, everything is grayscale coloring, as opposed to like a lot of the line work from before. It's like a very big experimentation in the art style. It doesn't look bad. It's just very, very different, and mid-arc a bit jarring. We have again Oda being a dick to animals. Lionel Richie gets used as a shield by Kabaji. I had as a notable part of the fight, of the next fight, of Luffy bouncing back the rubber of the Buggy ball. Because, you know, just horrible things happening to Lionel Richie, and he doesn't deserve them. All right, he's you know, his friend Moji's telling him to do stuff, and you know, Richie's a pirate too. You know, he's able to make his own choices, but the fact that he's just getting used by everyone, I think he really needs to set out on his own. So this is my official petition for Lionel Richie to start his own pirate ship. Moji is now finally able to tell everyone he's a devil fruit user after everyone gets hit by the Buggy ball. And to which Buggy is like, oh, well, thanks for telling me. Not. So I guess because Kabaji uses a sword and Zolo uses swords, and I guess a unicycle counts to like make up the difference in swords, they have a duel. But Zolo is still bleeding. And they have a fight. Surprise fire breath from Kabaji, one of those unicycle adjacent powers that Zolo really should have kept in mind, as well as all the Beyblades. Dude has a sick Beyblade collection. But Zolo shows why unicycles just never really caught on as a form of transportation, because in the end he just kind of like at first he like tries to like punch Kabaji off of it, and then he ends up like cutting himself or something to give Kabaji a handicap, just because he's like that good. It was a really weird sequence. The coloring is like still goes on like throughout that fight, by the way. Into the next chapter, we've got Nami making a deal with Luffy that if he beats Buggy, she'll team up with him again, and she's gonna go rob everyone. Okay, thanks, bye.
Nami's great.
And Nami, she claims to not rob like people who aren't pirates, but the pirates robbed the whole town. So isn't she still just robbing the townspeople?
Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Oh, I have in my notes, this is where the Beyblades happened. Okay. So then that's when we get Beyblades. And Buggy attempts to interfere in the duel, and Luffy stops it and like grabs Buggy's like moving hand. And Zolo stops the unicycle sword drop technique and uses his 3-strike Onigiri attack to win. Too much blood loss, sleepy time now. We then get the revelation that Buggy knew Shanks. What?
I actually, when I first read this chapter, I was surprised.
Yeah, so then after that revelation, the next chapter, the coloring style shift is gone, and it's back to that more line style. It's still a little bit more like shading based, like there's still a bit more shading than there was before, but it's still like very thick line based style that it was prior to the art shift. So I think by my count, the art shift only lasted 3 chapters, and just or really 2 chapters, yeah. So just a very interesting like blip in the middle of the arc. We get the chop chop quick dodge versus the gum gum sickle, which is a rubber snap flying lariat. Buggy's kind of hurt the hat, and Luffy is mad because we get a flashback to his promise to Shanks, and Luffy going over how much that means to him. And Buggy's like, oh yeah, well, Shanks and I apprenticed together, and that makes me mad. I hate Shanks for reasons, which we'll get into. Luffy psychs out Buggy and make him think he's going to punch the head, so Buggy's doing some dodging with the head, and then Luffy gets him with the gut punch. Wraps him up and starts beating him senseless. And then the townspeople show up, and it's like the scene out of Les Mis. Like, can you hear the people singing the songs of angry men, coming in with their torches and their pitchforks and such. And while Luffy is beating the absolute snot out of Buggy, we get the flashback to Buggy's sad backstory, which isn't really that sad. The
tragic Buggy story.
It's not even tragic. It's just like all his fault. It's just Shanks is kind of there. Shanks scares Buggy into accidentally eating a devil fruit and dropping a map that was to a sunken treasure. And now Buggy's mad because now he can't get the sunken treasure. So he's going to get all the treasure above the sea. But really, if you look at the scene like more carefully, Shanks saved his life. So really, this is all Buggy's fault. And Buggy's problems with Shanks are like his own issues. And you should really see a pirate therapist. I'm sure there's a pirate therapist.
There has to be a pirate therapist.
I mean, in the world of One Piece, there's pirate lion tamers and pirate clowns. There's got to be pirate everything. It's like pirate accountants and pirate businessmen, pirate doctors. I mean, there's got to be pirate doctors. There's like Chopper and stuff.
Tony Chopper.
I assume this is doing it correctly. Tony Chopper.
Yeah, that's much better.
That's much better? Okay, cool.
That's much better than what I do, which is just the worst.
I have no idea how long it is till Tony Chopper, but according to you, it's much longer than I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we won't get there for a while. But don't worry about it. Whenever we do get there, you'll cry. You'll be so invested.
We'll see. We'll see how invested I remain in One Piece. At the end of as Buggy's coming out of his flashback, Luffy gives him the gum gum nut kick, and there go the Buggy balls. And then Nami joins in and helps beat him in the face with all the treasure that she stole from Buggy. And they tie up his limbs, and Luffy finally knocks him out with the gum gum bazooka, which is a double palm strike. The townspeople are really done with all the pirates and start chasing everyone out, including Team Straw Hat. But the dog gets in the way and helps them get away. So I guess the dog is like being a bro now. It's still bleeding,
it's because
though.
Luffy gave him his little treasure back, like the remaining of the destroyed food store, a little bit of dog food.
Yeah, although that kind of means that his treasure was the food and not the store, which kind of makes the
It's
dog
the only thing remaining of the store, of the pet food store, is the pet food.
and the foundations and everything. But yeah, it's like it's more he wasn't guarding the place; he was just waiting for someone to turn the knob with the key. Anyway, they take a boat that one of Buggy's Lackey's boats, and they sail away. Nami, Zolo, and Luffy with all the stuff that they stole. Which is kind of a problem. Like, maybe, yeah, the townspeople were right to be chasing them out because they stole all their stuff. So, I guess Team Luffy is still pretty good pirates because they're still stealing everything.
They're still stealing shit. They're getting money. They're upgrading their shit. They started on a dinghy. Now they got a bigger dinghy. And they got some treasure.
Maybe they'll even get a sloop.
Maybe they'll even get a sloop.
So, that is the end of Orange Island, which was quite a bit. I think that was like 15 minutes of pure recap, which is kind of I think more than what we were going for.
I think it's actually shorter than what we normally did. I think last time it was like a good 30 odd minutes, but this chapter, this arc is pretty like straightforward. A lot of fights, right? We get to see some cool fights. Wasn't as dense.
When the fight is like you shoot fire at me, I punch you off the unicycle, but now you're back on. Beyblades, I'm going to unicycle up a building and try and drop on you. Well, that's telegraphed. I'll block it and and beat you.
You make it sound so lame when really it's
I'm
so
very
cool.
good at that.
It's so cool.
I mean,
like, this guy is on a unicycle, sword fighting a dude with 3 swords, shooting fire, and throwing Beyblades.
I guess a unicycle is a type of sword. I've never really thought about it that way, but a unicycle could be considered a sword. If you can run people over
with a motorcycle, it's one step more impressive to do it with a fucking unicycle. Truck-kun, more like unicycle-kun.
Oh, is there some unicycle going around now, isekaiing people? Because that's the series that I need to see.
That's the isekai we all need in our lives.
Yeah,
I was killed by a unicycle and reborn in another world.
And it's all like Victorian wheel-based, and people have are riding penny farthings and things. For those of you who don't know, that like Rita Repulsa bike, where it's like the old-timey fancy handlebar mustache type bike, where it's like the super giant big wheel and then the super tiny back wheel, that's a penny farthing.
So cool. But Matt, so what are your thoughts of this arc? Right now we're getting a little bit more into One Piece. We got the bigger arc, right? We get to learn some character backstories. We get to learn 2: one of a dog, one of Buggy,
a little bit of the village,
a little bit of
with the
village.
whole village backstory. I think really what made this recap shorter was I kind of glossed over the dog's recap because it was just so over the top and so long. And in the end, again, it was
a whole chapter, or was it like half a chapter at least?
It was like a chapter and a half. It was a lot.
Good. It made me cry. But granted, anything to do with dogs, it just get me. It hits home.
Luffy's like begrudging respect for the dog after being abusive to the dog.
It's like, you're protecting your treasure. I can relate. I too protect my treasure. Hat.
Yep. And then someone else hates your hat.
And the hat's currently broken.
Your style.
Hat's like shredded.
Yeah, the hat is very shredded right now, so that's a problem. Hopefully he gets it fixed or something.
Hopefully. We'll find out maybe in the next chapter or several. We'll find out.
We'll find out. But until then, they have a navigator, they have a first mate, and they have a captain. And I think they had food while they were with the mayor. The mayor kind of took care of Zolo, and like they were hiding out for a bit before the mayor ran off to his doom.
I'm sure in that like sack of treasure and stuff, there's probably like some apples, some like meat on a bone. There's probably some food.
Probably some food.
Probably some food.
Nami did just basically take everything the pirates took, and the pirates took a bunch of food because they were having a feast. So, yeah, probably. So that probably solves the food problem. No more need for bird-based transportation.
I think they have 2 boats at the end of it now, right? Because they took Nami's boat as well as their own boat. So I think they have 2 boats now. At the end of this arc.
It was a bit rough with the whole like running away thing, but
they have. I just looked. They have both boats. They have a buggy boat, and then they have their little boat. So they've upgraded. They have 2 boats.
I got 2 boats.
So Matt, are you excited for the next arc? What are your thoughts of this arc? Tell me your thoughts on this arc.
So this arc, in comparison to the previous arc, Romance Dawn with Captain Underbite, Captain Morgan, he's got a little captain in him. You know, the man with if you swing around an axe arm, no one will talk about your braces.
God damn it! Stop bullying the man.
He bullies himself. He is a man who was overcompensating for being bullied as a child. You can tell. That arc was fairly. I feel like this arc hit kind of the same number of beats, but had more time to play around with them. And while some places like Sad Dog backstory, I feel like and Sad Villager backstory, I feel like it kind of went around a bit too much. I think being able to spend a little bit more time on the actual threat, like villains of the chapter, we had a lot more going on with interplay with Buggy and his crew, between Buggy and Nami. You know, it's like the dog, like Zolo's backstory was super quick, but Buggy's and like the dog, they all had like almost entire chapters worth of backstory, rather than just like half a chapter at most for a complex recurring character. So we had a bit more there, and I appreciate that. It felt like if everything felt more built comparative to the last arc.
Yeah, it only keeps building, right? Like we'll see more Oda kind of really play with building on with character. You're going to a lot of character backstories because everyone, or not everybody, but the cool characters get them. So if they get a backstory, they're cool.
It is a double-edged sword though, because you can end up with things like Villager backstory, which was really unnecessary considering that we kind of got from the situation that the pirates had moved in. So we really didn't need several pages like reenacting that.
No, we did. It gave the mayor like the reason why we needed to punch the mayor unconscious, so he didn't die and leave the village without a mayor.
Because he's so motivated. He'd promised to protect the village because that's his treasure. And I get the whole recurring this is my treasure message, but we didn't really need him to do it. I am a bit worried, given One Piece's legendary length. I am a bit afraid if the overall direction trends towards unnecessary amounts of building that doesn't add anything to the current arc.
I think you'll be surprised. There's a few times where it does get like that, I will admit, but as it goes on, Oda kind of gets better with we're going to show what's actually important, right? What enhances what's happening, why characters are doing what they're doing. Because we start, as we've seen, we got more character interactions with a bunch of people, right? Like Buggy's crew, Buggy with Nami with Luffy. Even during the fights, right? There was still a back and forth between Zoro and Unicycle Boy.
I mean, even Moji was kind of a fleshed out enough character. Characters like him, I would have expected to just be
and
they
we're
beat
going
him
to
and he's
get
gone,
more of
but he
those.
keeps.
And it only gets better, right? It's kind of rough. I think once we get to Arlong Park, I think it's when you'll be I see the trend. I see Oda improving, and I think you might start getting a little bit more excited to be I want to know what he plays, because he plays with things, right? like he'll play with his art style a bit, like we saw in this arc, right? Like his kind of style like slightly changed a bit for like what 2-3 chapters.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like meshed the two a little bit in the later ones of this arc. He kind of like kept certain things, went back to how he did in the early chapters. He really plays with his stuff. And he also plays with story structures a bit. Oh, not structures, but well, he does that later on, like way later on. But I'm not. That's jumping ahead. But I'm very excited for next.
So the important thing is then, will we get a return of Lionel Richie?
Stay tuned.
All right.
I'm
aware Buggy is a recurring character, which is part of why he's a fan favorite. Is he's a recurring character. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, but Buggy is recurring. There's a lot, like oddly enough, there's a lot of reoccurring characters. Sometimes they are like really brief. Because if you notice on the start of like every chapter, there's like a little panel of like, you know, like typically it's just like the Straw Hats just chilling on a boat, right? Like we saw Nami teaching a monkey in one of them, like how to navigate while like Luffy's in the background, like sleeping in the boat. Those like little one-off like title pages start having their own stories following like other characters. So we get to see like what's happening with other people at the start of like some chapters. Like we'll start actually be getting that at the start of this upcoming chapter with Kobe and Meppo.
Oh.
Yeah, so the cover, so pay attention to the covers. They'll slowly tell story throughout all of that.
We may have to do a whole thing about story arcs in the covers then. Yeah. And what does it mean to tell a story over that much time?
Yeah.
Especially
I think I'm jumping the gun. I think Kobe and Meppo's like a little actually like way later.
Yeah,
but
you could have fooled me. I have no idea.
Things. Yeah. Well, we'll start seeing those things over time. So pay attention to those title cards. So your reaction seems to be like you're kind of leaning into One Piece a little bit more. Not much difference, but it seems like you're liking it a little bit more, just a tad. That's what I'm getting.
I think this was better than the last arc. The last arc I didn't feel was like that great, but it was also the early steps, and I'm willing to kind of go through that. This showed that there's like there's some promise in the series, at least. Like I can see why some of this is like fun. I'm still waiting for it to like really hit, because it still seems like, yeah, it's a bit aimless right now, but we're starting to get the drips of stuff like there's the Grand Line and we need to get to it, and oh hey, here's a map, so now we've got a map we can follow, things like that. So we're starting to get into where we have things that can drive the plot. So I'm interested to see where that goes, and to see if how well the success of that is, at least for me. Obviously it was successful for a lot of people. One Piece is like almost 1,000 chapters in at the time of this recording.
Yeah, they're almost at 1,000. Almost. Oda, you crazy bastard.
Successful. So we'll see how that is. Right, because as the listeners heard at the beginning, I've bounced off One Piece before, and I don't know if it was just the pacing in the anime or what, but it's
the pacing of the anime. I'll be the first to admit, anime's pretty hot trash when it comes to pacing. It's a companion piece, if anything.
Reading the manga might be the way to get into it. Maybe that's what we conclude from this podcast, is that might be the way in. Or maybe it's that if you didn't like the anime, maybe you'll like the manga, but maybe you still won't. Maybe One Piece isn't for you. We're going to figure that out. Either way, I lost a bet, and I have to read the whole thing.
Yeah, you did. Oh, man. And the best part is, it may never end.
It will. If we catch up, it counts. If we catch up, it counts.
If we catch up, it just means we get to start on movies like Film Gold, Film Z, Strong World. It's going to be great.
Please say that that's not sequential.
No. Those are actually the later movies, because the movies pre-time skip are pretty trash. They're pretty bad.
So are these movies like Dragon Ball movies where it's like there's literally a million of them and 99% of them don't matter? Or is this like
sort of.
Inuyasha movies where you can actually kind of place them somewhere and they really count?
So none of the movies are canonical, but the characters in the movies, like the villains and things, are canonical. At least for post-time skip. I'm not sure on some of the earlier movies, because a lot of the early movies are like, we're going... Do you know the show Toriko?
I haven't seen it.
But you know of it.
I know of it.
There was a One Piece crossover with that show.
Okay.
And there's like I think there's a One Piece Dragon Ball Z crossover special as well. There's one where they play soccer. Like, it's just a soccer movie. Like, there's a lot of weird like TV specials.
There's the stuff that's obviously like not.
So stuff that's obviously like this was made to pad time between like arcs and production of the regular series. Cross
production stuff,
yeah.
Advertising.
Get
the marketing execs in here, and then we need to line them all up and hit them with the buggy balls.
I mean, we got Oda drawing up some Gucci material officially. Drew some stuff with Gucci. Or for Gucci.
Well, I did see the One Piece cup noodle advertisements on YouTube,
they're so good.
And those are actually good, but that's more from the soundtrack being banging.
The soundtrack's banging because that was done by Bump of Chicken, right?
Yes, Bump of Chicken.
Yeah. Anyways, anything else you want to say before?
No, just I'm interested to see how the next arc goes, since from our previous conversation,
I think you'll like the next arc.
The next arc we're going to actually be splitting in terms of the episode. And in the spirit of that, I will only be reading up to the assignment. So I will not know. I mean, having seen the anime past this arc, I know how it ends, but when we get to the arc after it, that's not going to be the case.
Because
we'll see.
The next arc is Syrup Village, which has probably my favorite Straw Hat, probably my second favorite Straw Hat that gets introduced in this arc.
I really hope Usopp being terrible is an anime thing, because I did not like Usopp in the anime.
Usopp starts off really shitty. He's a really shitty. He's not a shitty. No, he's a shitty person. He's a liar, but he grows on you. He just wait till later on, whenever you see how Usopp starts and where he becomes 100 chapters in, and then 100 more chapters in. That boy changes.
Oh no, that's so many episodes.
So many episodes.
All right, well, what listeners? What is our assignment?
Your assignment is you're going to read chapters 22 to 31.
Chapters 22 to 31. All right. So we'll read those.
And the total arc ends at 41. So you're reading half of it. You're reading a good half of this arc.
All right. We'll see how that goes.
I'm so excited.
There's a sheep dude, right?
There's a sheep dude. It's so great. He's a butler.
I never really caught his backstory the first couple times, so
the best part
I'm interested
is
to see
you
if
probably won't hear either. No fluff, only syrup. Anyways, let's set sail. Thank you, listeners, for checking us out. If you enjoy us, rate us on iTunes or Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you listen to it. Give us that 5 stars, that thumbs up.
On your TI-84 calculator, whatever you use. TI-140
calculator, that Texas Institute calculator.
Texas Instruments.
I've been out of school for so long now. I'm ending this. We're out of here. We're setting sail.
On that TI saxophone.
On the TI saxophone.
Thank you all for setting sail with us into the world of One Piece. If you'd like to keep up to date on releases and what the current chapter assignments are, be sure to follow us on Twitter at SailingAllBlue. And we'd like to give special thanks to my good friend Birdie for composing our wonderful, amazing intro. To check out more of Birdie's amazing music, be sure to follow them on Twitter at HeyIt'sBirdie and check out their works on Spotify. I'm a big fan of the album VIMP. Links